In today's video, we're talking about 6 habits that help me begin earning 6 figures by the age of 30. If you really want to know where you're going in life, you need to assess your habits. And for the longest time, I didn't understand why I was struggling financially until I uncovered some of these habits. And when I fixed these habits, it completely changed the game for me financially. It helped me go from struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, to finally creating financial freedom. Now, the very first habit is focusing too much on financial defense and not enough time on financial offense. Now, for those of you who don't know what financial defense and financial offense is the ability to keep your money. So it's learning how to live below your means and find ways of lowering your overall expenses. Financial offense is a skill set or your ability to earn more money. Both are absolutely important in creating financial success, but it's important to remember that where the majority of your thoughts go, you tend to get more of in life. And so for many years, I kept focusing on how to spend all my time and energy to save another $5 here and $5 there. And while it did help me start to save a little bit of money over time, that was the very thing though that was preventing me from really learning how to double, triple, quadruple plus my income over time. When I first moved to LA, I only made $19,000 my very first year. Now I was able to save $9,000 of it because of my ability to play financial defense. I learned how to live below my means, and I created spreadsheets and did all kinds of crazy things to make sure I was able to pinch pennies and save as much as I could. Now, because I got some success playing financial defense, I spent all my time trying to figure out how to play more financial defense. And while I was fortunate enough to make a little bit more money over the next couple years, between $30,000 to $40,000, the problem was I mainly once again focused on how do I keep saving more money. While it did give me some traction, it wasn't until I started focusing on financial offense, which is how do I create a skill set, or how can I learn how to double, triple my income? One of the best ways of starting to play financial offense is to just look around and see of all the different ways in which you could make money. Even something as simple as looking at items that you don't use and selling them, going online and looking at services that people provide that you could earn some extra income from, or finding a skill set that you don't have yet that you could potentially learn over the next couple months and use that skill to earn some extra money on the side. It could also just mean picking up another part-time job to earn some extra cash. The whole idea of financial offense is to just spend more time thinking about how can I earn even more money instead of focusing too much time on how can I keep saving more money. Once I identified a few skill sets I wanted to learn, I ended up launching my first fitness coaching business, and within that next year, I was able to earn $100,000. The second habit is working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Listen, I've always been a very hard worker, and for many years, I worked very hard at my job. What I am not saying is do not work hard at your job, and in fact, you should work hard at your job. With everything that you do, you should do it to the best of your ability. But what I didn't realize was I need to be spending even more time and working harder on myself than I did on my job. So what does it mean to work harder on yourself? What that means is you need to be spending more time really learning and growing in who you are, learning new skill sets, learning new ideas, learning insights. You watch YouTube videos, read books, listen to podcasts, read blogs. Get curious about the world and begin learning as much as you can about anything from health and fitness to finances to relationships to personal development, things that will help you learn and grow as a person. And once I made the shift from just working really hard on my job and then coming home and relaxing to working hard on my job but spending even more time working on myself, that completely changed the game and opened up a ton of opportunity for myself to be able to earn more money and begin creating financial freedom for myself down the road. One thing I learned in my journey that is absolutely true: if you will change, things will begin to change for you. And while working hard on your job can earn you a great living, working harder on yourself can potentially earn you a fortune. The next habit on the list is focusing more on net progress versus net result. Now, I spent a lot of years in my journey focusing on net result. Now, the idea of net result is I would pick something that I wanted to achieve in, and I'd work really, really hard. Let's say for a few days, a week, or a month or two. And then I'd say, okay, I put in all this effort. What did I get for it? And I would realize that my life wasn't much different than it was when I first started, and I would get discouraged thinking, this is not obtainable for me. When I started focusing on net progress, and instead of worrying about what the result was for the efforts, I focused on improving by 1% every single day. That completely changed the game. And that is because if you just improve by 1% every day, you will have a 37 times increase in 1 year. So instead of worrying about what you're getting, if you focus on how you're progressing over time, before you know it, you're going to get the results that you want. Here's a perfect example of how this can compound over time very quickly. Let's say that you were offered a job and you had two options. You could either earn $5,000 a month for just showing up here and there and just putting in a little bit of effort, or at the end of the first week, you would get $10 with a 10% raise every single week. However, in order to get that, you would have to show up up every single day at the same time, put in at least 30 minutes, improve every single day on your skill sets and your knowledge. Now, let's say you decide to go with that second one, which was I'll take $10 at the end of the week and then I'll get 10% raise from there. And let's say that your friend took the $5,000 a month. Well, at the end of the first month, your friend would have received a $5,000 check. Guess how much you would have received? You would have $51.01. In other words, your friend made 100 times more than you did in that first month. By month number 2, your friend has earned a total of $10,000 while you have only earned around $125 for your efforts. By the end of month number 3, your friend has earned a total of $15,000 and you've only earned $235. So by this point, you're probably looking at your decisions and thinking, wow, I think I might have messed up. I'm putting in all this extra work, having to show up every day, be consistent, and I have earned so much less than my friend who is over here making $15,000. However, things begin to change by year 1. By year 1, your friend has earned $60,000 and you've earned about a little over $15,000. And by month 16, you guys have broken even. But this is where it gets really interesting. You see, by month 17, you've now earned $40,000 in 1 month. And by month 18, you've earned almost $58,000, while your friend only earned an extra $5,000. End of 2 years, your friend has averaged $60,000 a year, while you have averaged $1.1 million per year, or earned a collective $2.2 million. This is the difference between net progress versus net result. You see, had you focused on net result, you would have quit very early on because you would have seen all this effort you've been putting in, and you would have looked at your friend who put in even less effort and getting a lot more reward. The fourth habit that I had to change was asking better questions. One thing I've learned is that the quality of our life is determined by the quality of the questions that we ask. For many years, I'd say so many disempowering questions were asking me disempowering questions. I would see an item that I really liked that I couldn't afford, and I'd just say, I can't afford that. Or I would see someone doing something that I really wanted to do, and I just say, well, I'm not talented enough to do that, or I don't have the skill to do that. Or I would see someone making an income amount that I really wanted to earn, and I would just say, I don't have the ability to do that. Or I'd say things like, how come they're able to do it and not me? And guess what? When you ask those questions, your brain will give you some ideas. It wasn't until I began asking empowering questions and changing the way that I looked at things that my life completely changed for me. I started saying things like, how could I afford this item? What kind of skills could I learn that would help me earn twice the amount of income or 3 times the amount of income? When you ask these types of questions, now all of a sudden, instead of it being a fixed environment, when you say something like, I can't do this, I can't afford it, that's just how it is. It's completely fixed. But when you say, how could I afford this? Or what could I do to afford this? Or what skill set could I learn to double my income? Now it opens up a realm of possibility, and it makes your brain start to think about solutions. The key to changing your life is changing the questions that you ask. The fifth habit is breaking down your goals into smaller chunks. Being able to take a really large goal and break it down into smaller chunks is going to make your life so much easier, and it's going to make that goal so much more obtainable. See, for so many years, I'd come up with a really big idea I'd be excited about, and I would simply just go from where I was to trying to figure out how to get to where I wanted to be. So for instance, my first year in LA, I made $19,000, and I wanted to figure out how to one day make $100,000. The problem is how do you go from $19,000 to $100,000 without just being like a doctor or a lawyer? But once I decided to break down the goal, it became a lot more easier to figure out how to obtain it. For example, if you take $100,000 and you divide it by 52 weeks, it comes out to a little over $1,900 a week. Take $1,900 a week, divide by 6 working days, that comes out to around $320 a day. So while making $320 a day still seemed like a pretty hard goal, it seemed much more obtainable than trying to figure out how to make $100,000 a year. You see, $320 a day is about $40 an hour for 8 hours, which means that I need to learn a skill set that I could have that would pay me 40 bucks an hour, or I could figure out a product that I could create or something that I could sell, or just at the end of the day, figure out how do I come up with $300 a day. If you want to begin achieving your goals at a much higher rate, now the sixth habit is doing is better than perfect. Now this is perhaps one of the biggest changes in my overall habits that had completely changed the game for me. I'm someone who is a bit of a perfectionist. I love making sure things are really, really good before I start doing them, or that I have all the plans in place before I take action. And while that can be a really good trait, the problem is that if you're like me, you might get stuck in paralysis by analysis, meaning that I would sit there and spend so much time trying to analyze what I needed to do or how to do it that I would never take action. And this happened from everything from launching my own business or even starting my YouTube channel. I spent years thinking about, okay, what would be the right camera? What's the right lighting? What's the right microphone? How do I do all this? It wasn't until I decided that doing is better than perfect, that I really began to change my life. You see, now instead of worrying about how good something is, I say better to have done something and not even do it that well than to not do something at all. Because the thing is, if you can do something, even if it's not very good, the minute you begin to do it, you will begin to make it better. I remember I spent years trying to figure out how to start a YouTube channel. I spent hours upon hours. What's the right camera, lighting, lens, all this stuff, trying to get it all perfect. And before I knew it, 1, 2, and 3 years went by and I was still sitting in analysis mode. Finally got so annoyed with myself, I said, you know what, let me just hit the record button and just start talking. So I just whipped out my phone, I hit record, started talking, ended the video, uploaded it, started editing, and all of a sudden, the minute I did that, all these ideas, okay, I'm ready to make the next one. Let's change this, let's do that. Doing is better than perfect. And if you want to really make progress in your life this year financially, focus more on starting than worrying about how good it is, because you can always improve it over time. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get out there and let's build that dream.